Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we talk about all things homesteading, homemaking, and just our journey to a slower, more simple life. So today is the long-awaited day for me at least, and that is seed starting day. Now I'm not going to be starting all of my seeds today. Lots of seeds get put right in the garden outside, and some things I'll start inside, but not quite this early. This is 12 weeks before my last predicted frost date, which is a little early even for me, but this year I'm going to be doing peppers, which really need to be started early, and I'm also going to start my tomatoes this early, just because I know I have the space to let them grow, because they will get quite big depending on how long you keep them under grow lights. And we'll see what else I have to start today, but I'm just excited to start something. I'm really feeling that spring fever kind of energy. And the weather here has been kind of odd during the winter, so there was kind of abnormally hot days for the time of year, and then out of nowhere it'd be like 2 degrees again. But yesterday was really nice. It was 45 degrees and it really felt like spring. It's only February, so it's not spring for us here yet. But it was really nice going on my normal walk and it being a lot warmer, and it just feels like spring. I even actually went out and saw that some of the onions or garlic I was planting looks like it is coming up and kind of sprouting, which I don't know if that's a good thing because I'm sure we're going to be getting more snow, but I have hope that it'll be okay. But it was just kind of cool to see green growing in the ice pretty much, because it was all surrounded by ice still. That is one thing I just love about gardening, is how beautiful it is and just things want to grow. It really is pretty special. So I just opened up my mix, and what I got was locally made organic potting mix. I like to get organic just because that makes me feel better. I want to kind of have a better idea of what is in my soil. And typically you don't want things that are too heavy when just starting seeds inside. You don't want to have like a heavy compost or a really heavy soil. So potting mix has worked for me very well. And when I start my seeds, I just kind of have a mixture of random things to start them in, kind of. I think this is supposed to be a bottom of a tray, but I've just started seeds right in it before. I have a baking dish. And these are more new. I might start some stuff in here as well, but I am still somebody who typically, I have used these red Solo cups for like 4 years now. They're still in perfect condition and they work really well for me. But before I fill any of those up, I'm just gonna get my seeds out to see what we're gonna be working with, to kind of have an idea in my mind. I actually, and I'll show you somewhere on the screen, I made a full actual to scale garden layout so that I can kind of see how much space I really have in the front yard, which is where my garden is. And that's really the only space that I have other than my back deck, which I am also planning to completely have as garden space this year. But I can't use the backyard since it is so shaded by trees. Things wouldn't grow very well. But we got my whole front yard, and I got, I think, 6 beds out there. 6 and then my herb bed, so that's 7 technically. 7 beds, and I utilized them all last year and grew some really good stuff. But I used kind of graph paper, and every square is a foot. So I measured everything and measured where it all was located and drew it up, and it's kind of really cool to have that way, so that I can have kind of an idea where I could put some more beds. Now, I don't know for sure how many more beds I'll be able to do, because it is the cost of the wood, and if I do them the same way I did last year, the cost of the cinder blocks. I like going that route because 1, it is super easy to throw together, and 2, they'll be really easy to pick up and take with me wherever I go in the future. But then also the cost of filling the beds. So previous years I've got kind of bulk from I had to shovel myself. I've gone different places to get compost and topsoil and different things like that. This year I do not have a truck to kind of pile all that into, so I'll probably have to go more along the route of buying bags of soil, which is fine to do. There's nothing really wrong with that. Of course, I mean, the bag plastic that they're in kind of goes to waste and it can be more expensive, but you gotta do what you gotta do for sure. You may ask, why don't you just make the gardens right into the ground? And while that's definitely technically an option, the ground here is extremely rocky. You don't even want to know how hard it was putting the fence in, because you just kept hitting huge rocks. Lots of smaller rocks just everywhere you go, and then huge boulders, just extremely rocky, so it's very hard to work with in that way. And two, one of the things that is nice about raised beds is you can really get all the nutrients in it that you need first garden season. When working in beds right in the ground, depending on, you can add to that just like you can add to beds, and it can make it better, but it really takes a few years to get it established, usually, depending on what kind of soil ground you got to work with. But it takes a while to really establish the environment that plants, specifically the plants you want to grow, will actually thrive in, as well as just being so much harder to weed and stuff like that. So I choose to go with raised beds, at least here, because this to me is a property or a place that I don't feel like investing as much time in. I'd rather see the results and the time and effort put into the things that I'm growing, opposed to being put into this soil here, if that makes sense. But anyway, as I was saying, I'm not sure how much I will be able to put in for new beds, because of course there comes a cost with that. I'm not sure what I'll be able to find cheaper places, or what I'll have to buy, from a big store. But I do hope to put a huge thing just of bed, probably 4 feet width, and then just across the entirety of the front fence line. I'd love to put just a huge bed right across the whole thing. There's also quite a bit of room on the side of the garden still that I could separate into a few different things. I could do an 8x8 bed. Of course, that's very big and it would be hard to get to things in the middle. So I could split that into 2 4x8s with a little space in between. And I could do that in a couple places. And there's also a few spaces on the other side that I could put some 3x5 beds, kind of. So I have quite a bit of space to give me lots of options. I'll just have to kind of see what I'm able to put in, what is in the budget. But I'm just gonna go ahead and really plan for as much as I can. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get into these. So I think I am definitely going to be starting my squash indoors, especially this variety, which is 105 days until harvest. This may be the number one thing that is the longest till harvest that I have tried. Just because I know I have a shorter growing season, I tend to gravitate towards that, trying to set me up in a good way. But I think it'll be kind of a good thing to do, to try something that takes longer to see how that goes. And I'm also going to be doing my butter bush and my pumpkins as well. So we'll get those started today. Now, if I was going to do watermelon, today would be a good day to do it. So I'm going to bring these out just because I might do a watermelon. Why not? Here we go. We are at the tomatoes. So let us decide. These are my cherry tomatoes. Of course, I'm going to do my favorite, the white currant. Those just have such a great taste. I'll get out my Sunrise Bumblebee, very pretty. We'll get out this new variety, the Napa Chardonnay. I think I'll start some Orange Hat and have fun with that inside. And I'll do Berry's Crazy Cherry and Rosella. So that is quite a few varieties of cherry tomato. And we'll see exactly where I'm going to put everything. I think I said already, but I do also plan to kind of completely turn the back deck into garden space as well. So some stuff will be getting planted in that area opposed to the front garden. Haven't really planned that out as well as I have the front. Now on to the big tomatoes. We're gonna do the Ozark Pink that I got new this year. I'm gonna do the pineapple. I'm gonna do Betelgeuse and Dr. Wychees, orange icicle, Amish paste, and why not? I'll grab Big Rainbow and Dead Sunset as well. Just cause. Maybe I won't plant those all. We'll have to see, but why not? These sunflowers, I think I will start inside, but not this early. My coneflower, however, I am going to start, as well as my yarrow. And some of these are completely new to me, so I am just looking at the seed packet for their advice. I think I'll start some of these now. It says not as early, but you know what? I have the space, so I think I will do that. Ah, yes. These are what I definitely need to start. My peppers. I have the Tim Jalapeno Mini Bell Mix. And I said I'm going to try starting the Datil pepper, which says 100 days, so another long one. We'll see if we get any. And it's super hot, and I am not the best at spice, but that could be very fun. And that is going to do it. We got all of the seeds out that I need to now get ready to plant inside. So just so you know, it is a good idea to kind of mark things to keep track of what is what. And I usually do by just kind of getting little pieces of cardboard. I think what I might do this year is either on the trays or on my shelves that I have, take paper and write it and tape it right on that part opposed to in here. Because what I have found, and I still did it for many years even though I had this issue, was I would put it on the cardboard with a pen and put it right in, and then after it being watered so many times, it was kind of hard to read. So it didn't do me much good when I couldn't really read it. The hardest thing I find actually with gardening in my circumstance is kind of knowing how much you can grow or how much space you really have to grow things. That can be kind of tricky for me to know. You know what? I think I'll save these little things for things that I am actually gonna start closer to season so that they don't have as long to grow inside. And I think I will do my old trusty technique of starting things in red Solo cups. And that is what I'm gonna do. So then I really have to decide how many of each Solo cup I want for each variety. How many were these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe I'll do 5 of each. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Of each type of pepper. Maybe less. Let me just get some cups out. You'll see my brain working through. I'll just fill my cup up. Put it right here. And as you see, I haven't written on the red cups because I know I want to reuse them each year. But I might do my same thought and write it on paper and tape it to the outside so that I can kind of keep track of what's going on. Because I don't always know what's going on. I don't need them full right to the top. Just enough. Just kind of, I think, yeah, there's little lines in the cups. Or maybe there's not. Maybe just some of them. Oh, they're different. Some of them are different. Well, either way, it's about maybe 1 inch of head space I leave. Very simple to just fill. I'm gonna open my jalapeno first, and we'll take a look at these seeds. Pretty tiny. Handful. And I'm probably gonna put 2 in each cup that I do, about maybe 3, because I can always move them if I want to later and separate them out if they all germinate. So what I do with little seeds is I just drop them on the top and kind of push them down a little bit, opposed to making a hole and dropping it. You just kind of can push them right in. I don't want to lose track of what I'm doing already. That would be disappointing. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Put that over in the I used it pile. And if I was smart, I would get the paper and pen right now and do it. Nothing fancy, just torn paper and tape. Boom. I do wonder if the last frost date will be a little earlier than predicted, since this year's weather has been so kind of odd. Has the weather been odd anywhere else? I think it has. So we have all our peppers in, and so what I'm gonna do is put them in a tray like this. And why I'm doing that is because obviously when you water it, the drainage, it'll drain. And so it's good to have it in something, especially since at the beginning of the process, when nothing has really come up yet or the sprouts are really small, you want to have it elevated right near the light, because if you don't have it close to the grow lights, it will do something that we call become leggy. And you may have seen it if you have plants that you have sitting in your windows. That's why that's why people don't really recommend growing things just in windows. One of the reasons is because when it's reaching towards the light and it's far away, it doesn't kind of grow in a good way. It becomes leggy. So you can see it looks kind of spindly and just not very strong. And that's just not what we want to see in a plant for it to thrive. When we transplant it, it just won't do as well. So when we start them, we need to have things way up close to the light, and I will probably do that just by putting books and stuff like that under it, whatever I can find. And then of course, as they grow, you remove the things so that they just aren't touching the light, that they're just under it. Let's do the squash next, since it is also just 3 varieties, before we get into our craziness with our 800 different types of tomatoes and quite a bit of flowers/herbs as well. So while I'm doing this, I would love to know where you're growing from and if you've started anything yet. I think some places are already kind of at the point they can start cold hardy things outside, which is pretty crazy to me as a northern gal. And what's your favorite thing that you are starting this year? Is it anything new that you've never tried before? Is it an old favorite? I really would love to know. So let me think about this for a little bit. I think, because squash plants grow quite nicely, they grow big and produce many fruit just off of one. So I don't think I need to start that many plants. However, I need to start enough just in case some don't germinate. Nice thing about squash plants, their seeds are nice and humongous, I'm sure you know. So I think I'll start 4 of each. I think I'll do that. And I might as well just give them their own cup, because I'll have to separate them anyway. Bigger seeds, of course, you want to put a little deeper, but probably like up to there on your finger is how deep I plant squash. I'm gonna have a lot of vacuuming to do once I am done with this. I have a towel down, but I'm not sure why, because I'm not keeping the soil on the towel. I was repotting some house plants earlier last week, and there was some dirt still on the towel, and I decided, I'm gonna use this towel to do my garden plants next week anyway, so I'll just fold it up instead of, washing it. I'll just fold it up and put it over here so that it's easy. And guess what I did? When I got it out, I just kind of opened it up and all that dirt went everywhere, all over the floor. So, truthfully, there was no reason for the towel because it is everywhere. Okay, I just planted butterbush. So I finished up all my seeds off camera because there was just a lot to it and I had other things to do, so it's a little bit later in the day, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the setup, the grow light setup that I have this year, because it is actually a little bit different than previous and I really like it and I think it works really well. So this is the shelving I also have downstairs that I have my canning stuff on. I have no clue the kind of shelf or anything like that because they were just in my mother's basement for probably before I was even born, honestly. But it just metal shelving. I have them zip tied together, and underneath I just have zip ties to hang the grow lights from. And so I have new grow lights this year. Down below where I have this going, this is where I decided to put my different herbs and some flowers. We got the one long grow light, same on the bottom shelf, even though there's nothing in that yet. And then these are smaller ones that I just got. I believe they came in a set of 4, and I think I just got them at Walmart, actually. But it works really well. As you can see, this top shelf is small, but that works really well for when they're just starting out because it's so close. Other things I have propped up, I probably should prop some of it up higher. It's not the biggest deal yet because they obviously haven't even sprouted yet, and I don't really even need the grow lights on yet at this point. But that is my setup. And let me tell you, you don't need to buy these expensive things labeled as grow lights or these expensive setups, just like I did. I have some shelves. I use zip ties to hold things in the right places. If you don't have shelves, you could literally just get a chain and hang it from the ceiling or something. That would actually probably work pretty well because then you could just move the chain up and down opposed to having to move the plants up and down. But I know they are selling, grow lights for quite a bit of money, and you don't need to buy grow lights. There's no real specific grow light. Lots of lights kind of fit into that category of grow lights. So I don't remember on the top of my head, but to have a light that functions as a grow light, you just need it to meet the criteria of it fitting in a certain range of Kelvins and lumens, which those are like light talk. If I think of it, I will put it on the screen, but if not, I will put it in the description as well. And how you find this out is you literally can just look at the description of the lights or on the box or something like that. And if they are in that range, they will work as a grow light just fine. So try not to stress about that aspect of it if you're just getting into seed starting for the first time. Also, I just noticed I have dirt on my head. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and would like to see more, I do hope you subscribe and join this community of like-minded folk. This is merely just the beginning of gardening season and things to do with the garden. There will be much more of that to come. But I also like to do videos on other things like making meals from scratch, preserving food, and also just kind of my day-to-days as a homemaker and things that pertain to homemaking as well. So if any of that sounds interesting, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!